made you feel proud to have somebody like that to speak on your behalf. That's the kind of power that he had. So he was on that list, and he stood on stage and still, and he told those people what they needed to hear. He told the people that this country was as violent as it was, and it wasn't an accident. He became a target because of that reason. And they successfully set him up, got off the stage one time, and he told the people, if cameras don't come around, you gotta burn it down. He stepped off the stage and they tried to shoot him. He goes on the land for a little while, but he didn't go across seas. He didn't run away. He went to go do more work in New York for the time that he was on the run. Did more work. Finally gets apprehended, goes to prison, becomes Muslim, comes out, establishes this community right here. Establishes this community. You see, this is Khadija. It's a powerful man. It's always a threat to our nation to have somebody who can galvanize us. And his impact was such that he can still create this kind of crowd 20 years after he's been taken away from us. J. Edgar said that the number one threat to this nation was the rise of a black messiah. The rise of a black messiah, he said, was the number one threat. He said if there was going to be a rise of a black messiah, the rise was going to be because they created that messiah. Right? So Imam Jamil, he didn't play those games. He wasn't afraid when they bombed his car. He wasn't afraid when they shot at him. He still continued to tell the truth to the people. Speak truth to power. Imam Jamil was always targeted because of that. So guess what? Everybody who's listed on those documents, they knocked them off one by one. Assassinated, incarcerated, hooked on drugs, infiltrated their communities with snitches and every kind of other, Asian provocateurs you can imagine. The fact that he was able to get out and create a new life and continue to tell the truth to those people, it was a thorn in their side. They hated it. And I watched this in this community growing up, random little nonsense in this park. There was a dude who got shot right there by that tree. It was stupid. Nothing. One dude gets shot in the leg. Next thing I know, FBI, ATF, AG, you probably CIA out there knocking on my brother's door when he was a young kid about a leg shot. And the dude who got shot said, y'all talking about the same. He didn't shoot me. You sure? They try to coerce them. Because over and over and over again, we witnessed them try to set him up because he was never supposed to be free. He was never supposed to continue to be able to inspire and galvanize people and organize people and become that quote-unquote black messiah that they feared so much. So the fact that he was able to do that made him a continuous target. And there's going to be many speakers, many distinguished speakers, nationally known speakers, and we appreciate y'all coming and adding your name and your notoriety to this cause. I'll be able to tell you more about this story, but I just wanted to tell you the story of a kid who's here today, the man I am today, because I had the protection of a real community led by a real man, inspiring real men to do many things to protect the women. And we're missing that to this day. You see the hills of it. You see the results. So we need him back. And we need him to continue to inspire the men who are here today, the men who listen to this later, the men who might see this later on, to inspire them to be more, to be courageous. Because right now, a lot of the sisters are leading the efforts. A lot of the sisters are leading the efforts. Sorry, those sisters later. You see it. So today, inshallah, will be a beautiful day. And we ask that we inspire somebody, and hopefully there's somebody who has the ability to bring his name up in a powerful group and get him home, inshallah. Thank you all so much for your time. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Appreciate you, my soul. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you. My father asked me about 3 years ago to stop what I was doing, which was a lot, and focus on him, because he felt like nobody remembered who he was, and we were told that when he got his sentence, after he was sentenced to life in prison without parole, we were told Nobody will remember who you are. You're going to die forgotten in prison. And so it's a beautiful thing for me to be able to stand here and look off the stage and see all of you. It's not about who's not here. It's about who is here. To see all of you here is amazing. I appreciate, Linda Starstore for coming out and showing the kind of love that she's been showing. A lot of the other people who are here wouldn't be here without her. And in most situations she's involved in, that's the case. So we owe her thank you, and we demand justice for Breonna Taylor just as much as she does. My father is here in Atlanta, so I know I'm going here locked up in an issue in Atlanta, so that's my focus. But Breonna Taylor, we ain't forget about her. We ain't forget about George Floyd. We didn't forget about Amadou Diallo. This ain't new. That's the other thing we gotta remember. Just because they do it again, it doesn't mean the last one didn't matter no more. It just means we have more to fight for. So aside from that, I want to thank Tim for pulling up. He's been telling us whatever I can do, I'm gonna do. Joe Mike for pulling up, whatever I can do, I'm gonna do. Tell you the truth, whatever I can do, I'm gonna do. Yusuf Salam, whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do. I think we appreciate everyone. ICNA, everybody who's now on board to help us fight this fight. And the most important thing I want us to now begin to remember is we're not asking for sympathy. We're not asking for compassionate release. They gonna tell you, he did this, he did that. You're gonna start hearing things that make you say, oh, really? We're not asking for your sympathy. There's a man who said he did the crime my father was serving 20 years in prison for. We asking for justice. He said he did it. My father said he did it. What we talking about? We got all these black politicians, these black judges, these black attorneys sitting in a system that we think done changed. And we got a man who said he did it, and a man who said he didn't. And they said so. They said, what? The man who said he didn't can't talk no more. And if you're in media and you reach out to my father, they gonna tell you you can't interview. If you're in media and you reach out to Otis Jackson and ask him about my father, they gonna tell you you can't speak to him. Why? He said he did it, and my father said he didn't. We have signed affidavits, we got handwritten confessions, and now we got a video. I don't want sympathy. I've been dealing with this 20 years. I can show you all. I don't need sympathy. We want justice. I want my father home. I want my father home because he deserved to be home. Not because I'm a son without a father. What's plenty of them? I feel for them too. My father ain't supposed to be gone. He ain't do this thing. That's just the long and short, of what we dealing with now. You heard my syllabus community. We wouldn't have been able to do this in this community. We wouldn't be able to do the Malcolm X Festival in this community every year. Kids wouldn't be able to run around and do it without Imam Jamil. That's the person we don't want you to remember. But murderer? Nah, man. Ask the police. Ask the police who was around when he was here. What they used to do when they pulled up. It wasn't nerves. They would park. Go in the store. Ask him if he need anything and tell him we appreciate you for what you've done over here. So how all of a sudden he get a traffic ticket and it turned into murder with the same police he vacated with? So again, we're not asking for sympathy. We're not asking for compassionate release. And again, the most important reason we're not asking for compassionate release is because if we don't clear his name, then they successfully ruined his legacy. And we can't allow that. So yeah, sure, compassionate release is something people go after at times, but not when you're innocent. Not when you're innocent. Now, I know we got some real important people here, and I don't want to hold their time, so we're going to start getting through these speakers so that they can go and do what they need to do. I appreciate you again. We're going to start with Killer Mike. I appreciate you, Assalamu alaikum. It is beautiful to be here. We get a lot of DMs sometimes, and you're like, man, I was just smoking a joint. And singing and dancing for a living is an interesting thing, right? So singing and dancing for a living, you're providing people entertainment. But what you're really trying to do is give people joy. And joy is a cousin. And peace is a principle in Islam. When you bring someone, you're giving someone a wishing, or hoping, or having, granting them the peace of Allah, a peace that is unlike any other peace. So, in my brief experience with Islam, I've learned that the goal, unlike what CNN told us, the goal was world takeover and violence. They introduced us to Ayatollahs and radicalization and told us how bad it was, but he had a bow tie. But what appeared to be a wrong that was just hated from day one. And as a child, you start traveling on a train to different communities, and you start meeting people who don't look like you. They might not go to the holiness churches or Baptist churches, but what you start to see is that this community of people that looks like me, walks like me, talks like me, may pray differently, is after the same end game that my grandparents are after, and that is peace and love and righteousness while I exist in these short years that I'm here. So I feel compelled to be here today in spite of the fact I'm tired, in spite of the fact I know I sing and dance for a living. So somebody tomorrow gonna be mad that I stood up here, and mad that T.I. stood up here, or said that Trey stood up here. But this is our social responsibility. It is our social responsibility, because had it not been for a very young man who was handsome enough to be an actor, who talked slick enough to be a rapper 20, 30 years before rap existed, and who had the most badass rap name I've ever heard, H-Rap Rap. Because of that man who became Imam Jamil, because of him, we're able to be here today, not only in the capacity of musicians and rappers, but advocates for his quick and immediate release. Because he has put in such a sacrifice, not only for black people. I would argue that the freedom that he fought for on behalf of people that look like me extended well past that into the new people that are moving into this neighborhood now and casually walk their dogs and ride their bikes. This neighborhood was safe before those people moved here. There's something wrong with those people, but it needed to be known that gentrification did not save the day in this part. A community of Muslims saved the day in this part, and they did okay for little T.I. to shoot basketball, a little Mike to play here with his cousins. A community of brown and black Muslims showing what dignity and respect looked like to kids in the crack era when the world was going mad. And some would say about sponsorship of the Reagan administration. I watched the speech before I came out here by the man formerly known as H-Rap Brown, and he said, be a revolutionary in every aspect. If you are a teacher, if you are a student, your job is to educate where schools have just trained your children. So I stand up here as a singing and dancing revolutionary today to say that everywhere I go, every politician I talk to, I know, just like I did when the guy who might be dying's campaign called me, they said, well, what can we do to get you to consider? I said, free every revolutionary you have in jail, including but not limited to Halloween, Mumia, and the Pelzer, and take a side off the list. If you do that, I'll show up at your damn conviction. I knew they weren't going to do it, they knew they didn't have a Bible nigga in me. What I want us to do locally, though, is to do what Andrew Young said. And I'm bringing up Andrew Young because often in black and brown communities, we allow ourselves to be separated by faith. We allow ourselves to be separated by ideology and rhetoric. And I'm saying that right now because at one point people saw Andy Young and CLC over here. And at one point they saw your path and the stick over here. But I'm telling you today that the proletariat shares one thing, and that is we have the exact same masters. The same people that oppress you because you're a Muslim oppress you because I'm black. They oppress us because we're here. They oppress us because we're there. You can wear your natural hair, but you can't wear it to work. You can't call yourself like Allah told you to because you have gone to school. We have the exact same master. So I was surprised and I was encouraged to see that Andrew Young has said these words. And I don't want to say them verbatim because this is a former mayor of Atlanta. He said, I'm talking about Jamil Alami, H. Brown. It is time to rejudge. He's died of cancer and has been suffering away from his family in the worst prisons of this nation. He turned those that knew to a new unit and said, anything you can do to bring him home and close to his family and friends before, we must do it. We must do this for justice. He said, as a young Muslim, this man helped clean up Atlanta's West End. He talked of encounters of how much he had done, how much good he had done in his community. And he believed that an innocent man who had been in prison for years and not committed that crime. So I want people to leave this park and they call the legislators and they call Filing's office because we just elected a new DA. And I'm on a transition team. And I'm taking this message back to him. The community wants to see him free. I want to repeat that. I am on her transition team, and I am taking this message back. Call her office from now until the day he is free. And I will agitate and aggravate on his behalf with you guys, because every one of us is a revolutionary. Every one of us every day can commit a revolutionary act by simply progressing not only this, but the people who have killed, murdered, lied, stolen for the last 400 some odd years, and I would argue thousands. It is our time. It is the right now to say he is worthy of mercy. He is worthy of mercy. He is worthy of mercy. There is no law and order without justice. And it is time that we see justice before we bring him home. I would like to thank you for allowing us to come out today, because I'm just a simple man that saves the dances. But I promise you, tomorrow I wake up a revolutionary. I call my DA's office, and I will be calling every day as I've asked you to. I love you very much. Thank you. Appreciate you for that, Mike, always. And like you said, you know, we did just elect a new district attorney. And one of the things that the Commission Integrity Unit that is reviewing my father's case, the head of that unit wanted us to reiterate or iterate to you was that she could potentially not keep the Commission Integrity Unit. So that's another thing that we want her to know that we care about, that the reviews of wrongful convictions is something that not only is something we want, it's something we need, because they keep finding wrongful convictions. And aside from that, they told us that we need to stop asking them to reopen the case because it's currently open. They're reviewing it right now. And so now we have to begin to ask for what it is that we want, which is exoneration, or at the very least, opening the trial on the trial level so that we can retry all of the evidence, including the evidence that we weren't allowed to present the first go around, which stops us procedurally from presenting it in the appeals process, which is the real reason why we continue to move. We can't present the confession anymore because they said we didn't present it the first time. So we need a total review of the case in order to be successful, and that's what the Conviction Integrity Unit allows for us to have. So we're going to keep the program rolling till I mean, you don't want me to give y'all a long introduction to what it says. Yo, what's happening? Tim T.I. Harris, West Side native, yeah, revolutionary. Some of y'all I know, I just know this little badass Tim from City Hill. My grandma, grew up on, raised me on City Hill, which is off Bankhead, not too far, a few exits down. But my dad, when he came to Atlanta, him, his brothers, and his family, they have a house on Fair Street. So when I went over to Fair Street, the closest place we could come to, the King was here. You know what I mean? So me and my nephew, who is actually older than me, that's just how my daddy did it. We walked up here, to the basketball court, as it was already displayed to you, it was the 80s. So, you know what we're going on. It didn't really bother me much, we just kind of walked past it. But what I noticed that there were citizens of this community standing on each corner, making sure what would be is what people that I knew, that my family knew. You know what I'm saying? But they were making sure that we pains come and go. You know what I'm saying? Peacefully. I do remember one time, you know, somebody picking on my nephew. I had the basketball court, some older guys. I had to fight, and, you know, that was every day growing up, you know. But it never got past that, you know what I mean? And it's that kind of leadership, it's that kind of authority, it's that kind of passion that we need for our children to grow up in communities, not just this one, but communities like this. And, well, see, I was raised around men of conviction, men of respect, men of principle, men of morals, men of standards. And it seems like every man like that faces scrutiny or the consequence of being targeted by the federal government or the local government, for that matter. If you don't just lay down and go along with it, then you got hell to pay. Well, I rather down on my feet than live on my knees myself. You know what I'm saying? I respect any other man that feel like that. You know, I'd rather get hit in the face 3 times standing up rather than fold and cower to my knees and not get hit at all. And that's just the way I was raised. You know what I'm saying? You get knocked down 3 times, you get up 4. Now, the reason I feel that Brother Halloween should be released has a lot to do with my new findings of his case. But it also has a lot to do with my understanding of the way this system has treated us ever since we got here. And I don't mean when I was born. I mean since the first ship docked in the 1600s. That was since then. Every rule that has been put in place, every standard practice or procedure that has been implemented has been done in opposition of us. Okay? And every time we did anything, whether that was run, read, fight, pray, we were held accountable. Still being held accountable. I got tired breaking the law, you know what I'm saying? I did whatever I did, and I've been held accountable many times. But Americans never held themselves accountable for any of the atrocities that they committed against us. So I think that, you know, to be honest with you, I believe that there's a strong case for entrapment for every prisoner. For every prisoner, because all of the acts that have been committed were of the principles of the standards that America has instilled not only in us, but in its practices ever since its inception. How can you expect any differently from the people that you are leading than you can expect from yourself? They want us to pay taxes. But I'm saying, well, how are you going to treat the people that you find out that did not pay taxes who are in positions of authority? If you're not going to treat them the way you treat citizens, then the citizens have a right to entrapment. That is entrapment. To me, that's just me speaking. That's just me speaking. You gotta lead by example. You must lead by example. But one thing that I'm optimistic about, one thing that gives me something to smile about, is anytime, if you look throughout the history of humanity, anytime any group of people, any nation, any tyrant fought against change, anytime, whether it was the Egyptians or the Romans or the Mayans, anytime anyone fought against change, they lost. They lost. Change is imminent. It's unstoppable. It is the law of the universe. We must evolve, or we will cease to exist. So anybody who's fighting to keep it the same old oppressive, discriminatory way that it has been, you fight a losing battle. Because eventually change won't come. Now how fast that happens? Well, it depends on the actions of all of the people here in this poll. And the people who see all of the actions of the people here in this poll, each one teach one. But I appreciate everyone who invited me to be here. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all for giving me an opportunity. And I also appreciate Brother Alameen for dedicating his life to the fight for freedom, equality, for justice, for peace, and for change. And if he can do it, we can do it. Love and respect. I appreciate you always too. Like I said, he said he wanted whatever he could do when I run into him. That's what he told me, and I asked him to be here. So here he is. A couple other people asked him to be here. So here he is. He stayed in his DMs a lot. Before we got him here, I'm really like, next, we have Brother Yusuf Salam from the, now what we know as the exonerated side with the Central Park 5 out of New York. So it's another perspective of how it feels when you're wrongfully convicted, and people take that as fact until you're free. We gotta stop doing that. We gotta stop acting like conspiracies only exist after the fact. They taught us that conspiracy goes hand in hand with the word theory, but it doesn't. Conspiracy is a real thing, and if you don't believe me, you're arrested for it. So we all see what Brother Yusuf Salam has to say for us and for the email, but also for himself. It's another opportunity for him to tell us his story and how it relates. Because we got to start relating these things that happen to us over and over again to each other so that they can stop. Otherwise, we'll just be like, they probably, this one got this one. No, yes, this one too. So here you go, Brother Yusuf Salam.